Hello and welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, and my co-host Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person wants to hear, as well as marketers and content creators about this particular subject. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so we can only focus on one particular subject. And today, we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, actually, because recently, I don't know if you've seen, heard, read on the news about Tyler Perry. And Tyler Perry, if you don't know, big US film TV giant producer. One of the things that he's done recently, well, a few years ago, he built his own studio. So it's a huge studio park that a lot of people are actually using now to, whether it be make their films, their TV shows. But part of this was he was going to add a new film studio. And that was going to cost over £630. But recently he stopped it. And the reason he stopped it was because of his fears when it comes to AI. Now, the fears actually came, and there's a lot of people were saying that it's because when the Sora videos came out, the OpenAI Sora videos came out, that is what was like the kind of final straw. It was like, well, hold on a minute. This is a game changer. We need to stop what we're doing. Let's put this on hold, and maybe we need to concentrate on this. So this kind of goes into what we were speaking about last week, Chris, regarding the CEO study that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's making a lot of people rethink, isn't it? Especially if it's a long-term vision, because this is such an immediate term opportunity. And let's be honest, most of us who work every day in this subject still had no idea Sora was coming out. Like, we actually work with OpenAI, with Coca-Cola in partnership, and we had no idea. You know, they kept this completely quiet from everyone, including people at the bleeding edge of working with these tools. And so it shocked not just our industry, but every other industry. And the movie making industry, if you're thinking about making a multi-million-pound studio that's going to take you years to build, by the time you've built it, might be totally outdated.
Yeah.
So that's the real and obvious issue with seeing something so competent coming out for a very small subscription fee.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just read a bit more on the article. So he was due to add 12 sound stages to his Atlanta complex, but says he's been put off the release because of Sora. Now, Perry, who's 54, believes a lot of jobs will be lost in the film industry because of AI. And that, unfortunately, I think he's right when it comes to that. But that's going to be, forget film industry, that's going to be a lot of industries. But the good side is that there's going to be new jobs available for people who's got particular skills within AI, or other things, other skills will come about, and as well as other jobs. And that's something that we spoke about in previous episodes.
Definitely. And there'll be hundreds of thousands of new movies and new directors from people that we've never heard of, that have never had the Hollywood budgets in order to make big publications. So, there's definite pros and cons to all of this.
You can see a lot of more independent films as well. That's what I think you're going to see.
Definitely. And I think one of the most interesting things about these, looking at the industries of landscapes that could be affected, is that the movie business is a very small bubble. You know, like Hollywood, in terms of big budget producers and big actors and stuff like this, there's maybe, less than 100 of them that are at the level that you would call insanely good, Now, that's not so much the case in the music industry. There's a bit more decentralized, as to the top 100 musicians versus the top 100 actors or the top 100 directors. But if you're in an industry where there are a very small bubble at the very top and they're untouchable, that's most likely going to hard crumble, versus somebody that's already got a somewhat decentralized industry that they work in. But movies is, yes, hundreds of millions get put into these movies, and specifically CGI and effects and voiceovers. These are exactly what AI is good at. So it's a really tough nut for them to process that one.
The other thing as well is that I hear, especially with the big budget movies, about 10% of the overall budget is in marketing. So AI also
Mm,
can help with the marketing, a
big
lot
time.
of the content creation as well as the marketing. And Tyler Perry also said that he'd gotten word over the last year or so that this was coming,
Mm,
but he had no idea until he saw the demonstration of what it's able to do.
mm.
And that seems to be like most people.
Yeah,
You know, we kind of knew video generation was coming. We've been speaking about video generation
yeah,
since the beginning of this podcast, but
yeah.
I don't think we knew what happened a couple of weeks ago when Sora came out with this, and these are the prompts.
Definitely
And
no.
since then, even since the original videos, we're seeing a substantial amount of more videos coming out
Yeah.
of basic prompts.
Do you know
And
the thing that's been most impressive to me is we talked about this in an episode, where people put out demo videos that are of exceptional cherry
mm,
picked qualities, and then you test the product and it's not as good.
yeah,
Well, Sam Altman has been taking live Twitter
yeah,
requests and then making Sora videos just to prove that it wasn't just cherry picked videos on their output. And I
yeah,
think that's where that Formula One video came from. Is
mm.
actually someone requested, that, and then he gave that as an output, and bang.
So if you haven't seen the Formula One video, it's just essentially it's someone there's a prompt, and somebody typed in a prompt about a Formula One driving around the streets of San Francisco,
Mhm.
and that's what was created. And it's one of the best ones that we've seen. You know, I
Cool.
actually posted it on LinkedIn. It's a really, really good video of what's possible now. So imagine what it's going to be like when it comes to version 5 or version 6, which can easily happen in a year because we've seen it with Mid Journey. So yeah. Now, this is something also that Perry said, because when he spoke about jobs lost, he actually went into a bit more detail of the
Mm.
types of jobs. And he said that Perry said that the technology could make traveling to locations and building sets redundant. So the
Mhm.
people that's going to play a big part. He goes,
Mhm.
I can sit in an office and do this with a computer, which is shocking to me, he said.
Mhm. Mhm.
He added that it is very, very concerning that this could mean jobs for actors, editors, sound specialists, and transporters could be lost. So yeah, it's what he's saying there is
But again, on the pro side of that, think of the carbon footprint that we could save.
yeah,
The amount of air miles just to go and shoot a photography shot on a
mm,
place that there's already thousands of images online of people that have done that same thing,
yeah,
that's been trained into an AI model. And now it's at a point where you can make it so it looks like you were genuinely there. When a director has full control over that, then I think not only would it be more beneficial to them because it would be in their own hands,
yeah,
as opposed to paying a bunch of photographers and then hoping what they fly back with is what you wanted.
mm,
But yeah, like there's massive things to say about the carbon emissions as well. So there's massive pros and cons to this. Lots of jobs will be affected.
mm,
But if you think about it in that case, like more jobs might be created. It's just going to be change, and lots
yeah,
of people don't like change. Like when the original coal miners were told, by the way, your coal town is no longer relevant to us. Like it's devastating to hear if you've been coal mining for many generations. But like we live in a time where everyone has to stay somewhat pliable because we don't know what's going to change and when. It's tough to hear.
yeah. Yeah, change is obviously gonna it's just a natural thing in life, and
Mm.
obviously some changes are very bad for people, and some changes the same change could be very good for people.
Mm.
And when it comes to this AI, Tyler also mentioned it's going to be. He used it recently to basically make himself look older, which saved him a bit of time doing makeup. So that was a kind of good thing that he mentioned that he's
Right.
liking it. But the other thing before we kind of wrap up is this is very interesting his move because it was only a few months ago that there was a whole strike, the writer's strike
Yeah,
connected to
yeah.
do with AI, and then I'm sure he was there help it like in with the writer's side, and
Mm.
now this, and he's not going to be the only one. He's not going to be the first one that's going to come out and do this. So
100%.
I don't know what. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of what happened and what was agreed when it comes to the writer's strike,
Mm.
because it was beyond writing. It was other factors within
Yeah.
AI, but it's something that I believe that let's just focus on the film industry,
Mm.
but let's just the film industry is going to be constantly rewriting
Yeah.
new rules, laws, ethics, morals, and more.
And, you know, if you're a consumer and you're thinking none of this affects me, well, you're going to have hundreds more movies shown to you, you know, in all sorts of genres from people you've never heard of. So you might go through a renaissance in your film loving. You know,
Yeah.
I've fallen out of love with films. I don't go to the cinema currently. I may start doing again when they show independent films. And so
Yeah.
it's
Well,
going to be,
hopefully it'll be good films.
yeah, they're
That's
right,
the thing.
right.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be good films. So in a nutshell, when it comes to AI, but in this case, when it comes to AI in movies and what Tyler Perry's doing, is this essentially the future of what a lot of studios are going to do? Are they going to put things on halt just to kind of see what's going to happen over the next 12 months? It's going to be an interesting year. Definitely an
Definitely.
interesting year.